Hello, 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 Foxfires. Welcome in. We've got boom, LiLi time. Hello, hello. Sneaks out of class. You'll get back here, 7. You'll get back here. How's everybody doing? 2 concussions. I have 2 kids. Hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Blaze, welcome with a nya-nya. Nya-nya. Of course. And some purrs. Gotta get the purrs in. But yeah, welcome in. It is Study Buddy Day today, which means we're gonna be working more on our Coloso course. So yeah, we're gonna be starting as usual. We'll do a little bit of time, just kind of reviewing and doing what we did last week. And then we're gonna be moving into any critiques if anybody wants them. And then we will finish up again today with our lesson. And it's going to be another probably big lesson and a lot of terminology and theory again today. So today's is supposed to be on lighting and like lighting in environments and how it affects colors and the atmosphere and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what the lesson is basically going to be today. My art setup is a mess. Mine's always a mess, so to be fair, mine's always a mess. I feel it. I feel it big time. But yeah, so probably just start jumping right in because it is a big one today. I think it might take us a while to get through, so I'll probably keep the review portion relatively quick as well. So but yeah, how you guys all doing? Hope you had a good Monday. Let's see. And what I figured what I'll just do for a review is I was like, oh, we could just take the skirt that we had from last time. So if you want to follow along with me, either screenshot my dress here or find your own from a previous lesson class. And then I'm just going to add my shading and stuff over top of it. What did I do wrong? I thought I set this up. Hold on a darn minute. I thought I set this up properly. I did not set it up properly, which means I need to redo it. Hold on. I thought I had the lines and base separated from it. Apparently I did not. Where is... I think it's this one. That moment when I thought I was ready and then I wasn't prepared. So chat, I've been updating more minor things on LiLi's model again. Time to play Where's Waldo with my face. Yep. I did get clips today on my new PC. Decided to keep old PC up for art stuff, but keyboards aren't well placed and using the wrong one. Also what I did with my hoodie yesterday. Oh, perfect. Perfect, Blaze. I didn't have time to do much review on this one last week, which is bad of me. I know. So that's why I was like, well, I'll just take some of the line work since I don't have time to draw my own, and then we can just fill in the blanks. It's perfect. Yeah, Blaze has got the Minecraft working now, Pichu. Apparently, Blaze had the wrong version or something. Right. I believe I want this, and this, and this. Yes. Copy. Delete. Paste. Hey, look at that. There we go. Okay, so I have lines, base, and model. There we go. And then I'm just gonna clip my review layer down onto that layer. There you go. You can kind of see my layers set up. So we got the lines, overview. This is the base of the dress, and we've got body. There you go. So now you guys can see them all labeled here. Yeah, installed the wrong version on the new one. Old one, I had the right one. Oh, okay, never mind then. I thought it was the on the old one as well causing issues. Well, I'm glad to hear that it's all working now. All right, so we're gonna be adding, I kind of already have some form shadows on here. So maybe we just need to add kind of our lighting and cast shadows. So first let's pick where our lighting is coming from, right? That is our first choice. I'm just gonna draw it on with the lines. Make it kind of like something like that. Kind of a side front lighting type thing. Because that kind of fits with some of our other shadows that we have here. So that's the case. I'm going to grab my lasso tool and think about where the cast shadows are gonna lay on this. So definitely gonna be some being covered by the side of the body here a little bit. I'm just gonna lighten that. Because I forgot I was on a multiply layer. And then probably a little bit, I think, under the breast here a little bit too. Just a tiny bit under there as well. And yeah, I kind of already put some form shadows in here. But we could darken them up a little bit. Just to make our light a little bit stronger. All right, and then last week we learned the cast shadows have much more softness to them, so we learned to kind of blur them out next, right? careful not to make that airbrush too wide. But as we get farther away from the main light source, we can kind of start to make it a little bit more faded out compared to the top bits, right? So we start with a really small shadow and then get a little bit wider with the airbrush as we get to the bottom parts. So again, keep that strong shadow closer toward the fabrics closer together, and then as it fans out here, you can make those lines a little bit softer. So there's our cast shadow and form shadows. Maybe I'll do a little bit more up in here. So now we kind of can start rendering and adding a bit more extra details and more defined. So kind of adding in that like half shadow, making things a little stronger. Oh, we forgot to add occlusion shadows actually first. I always forget. Add our occlusion shadows. So again, occlusion shadows are going to be the darkest shadows possible. The LiLi, it's the you kid. Welcome in. So we want really, really dark shadows. And these are going to be areas where little to no light gets in. These spots are mostly going to be areas that are like your lines points, or where the cloth kind of meets together and stuff. It creates the darkest lines. Oops. All right, now I can go back to adding more rendering. Trying to really think where we'd see pockets of lights and shadows. Add in a softer brush to try to blend them out just a little bit in some areas. Add a couple of lighter spots. Basically just adding a half shadow to some spots. Happy Fox Day! Wait, is it Fox Day? Sneaks back into class. Where were you, 7? Also, Prince Draconis, welcome in. Evening to you. Add in a little bit of texture more into the dress. Putting these very, very faint light spots. That's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Ta-da! Save that. Let's see. How did we do? Not bad. A little bit of rendering. It's not perfect, but for how quick we did it, I'd say not too bad at all. Not too shabby. I like it. I like it, I like it. It's the end of National Fox Day in the US. Happy National Fox Day. You're here appreciating your one and only Fox. That's me. If you didn't know. If you couldn't have guessed, that's me. Should we try? What time is it? 6:30. I think. Should we try doing a really quick different lighting scenario? I'll try to do this one real fast. Okay, so first we need to pick where we want our lighting from. What if we did it like opposite? Like a backlit or something? How about something like that? Real different. Opposite almost. Hello, Sensei. Hello, Kobasaki. Welcome in. Sure, we'll just go right there. All right, and I'm gonna pick my lasso tool again. And let's see. Pone. Okay, so cast shadows now are pretty much gonna be all of this. All of this is gonna end up being in shadow. Kind of kept the roundness of the breast and then did a little bit of light coming up there a little bit just because of the angle of the fabric. And then we're basically gonna come down along there. Maybe something like that we'll try. Another really like good way to see shadows, and though it's some people do, and it might help some people, is actually to work backwards as well. Where, here, I'll show it on the skirt. Like we can paint in the whole body for shadows, right? And we can then erase where we think the light will be, right? So if we painted in the whole skirt, and then we can choose like an eraser, and we can start taking shadow away. Sometimes that kind of helps some people visualize it a bit more. So if it helps you, do it that way. Like that. All right, so let's use our airbrush. And again, we're gonna take away some harshness in those cast shadows. Keeping the airbrush small. On the parts we want more form direction, and then we can lighten it on some of the areas where the light might be more dispersed, right? Okay. And then we can go in with our occlusion shadows. So we're gonna have a really, really dark, hard brush. We're gonna start outlining again some of those areas underneath the dress, and those creases, kind of following the lines that we already have. Darkening that strap area. Also blaze with a go gun. All right, and then we can add more rendering lines. So again, I'm not choosing something quite as dark as the occlusion. I'm just gonna add in a little bit more shape, dimension, and texture. Do a little bit darkness. There we go. So there's two different kind of lighting scenarios on the same outfit. One with the light coming from in front, and one with the light coming from behind. There you go. So you gotta see the light difference and how it changes. Question, yes please? Add even something that we'll talk a little bit about today. You can add a little bit of rim light. With hair, if it's coming down over the shoulders to the front, will act like a solid wall blocking the light, or do you want to leave the spot like light peeking through? I mean, it kind of depends on what your hair will look like. Majority of the time, it will just act as like a full shadow. I would say majority of the time, you probably want to keep it to looking like a full kind of wall of shadow, I would say right now. But like you can occasionally get like if there's big pockets like this, right, in this area. Oop. Like if there's big pockets in her hair like this, then like if it were like to be over front of her hair, right, then you might still get like some shadows of piecing where this is all shadowed in, right? And you have like a little bit of a break, right? You're just gonna be basically putting that shadow shape onto whatever it is, right? Breakable hips? She has a body underneath. I didn't draw the body, but the art senpai did. She did have a body underneath. Where is it? What lesson was it? There it is. So pretty anime proportions. All right, so with the review done, sorry, I've got so many layers now in this. All right, with the lighting review done, Blaze, was there anything you wanted me to take a look at for critique, or anybody else out there? I just know Blaze is always the one that usually has something. Nobody else has ever taken up the offer. For practice one, I'm using the figure from Tusham of the hoodie. That's true. I think with the Isham one, yeah, mostly you're just gonna use it as a single block, basically. And like the hair kind of comes over the shoulder, which means wherever you have your lighting, like if you were having it top right, which is very standard lighting that a lot of people use, then yeah, it's just gonna be kind of like a block of shadow on this side of her shoulder kind of thing, right? It is it's called an empire waist dress. Empire waist. That is the technical clothing term. Also, I like that the Autobot didn't like the word loins. Loins? Get them out of here. I got to, but I need to do the mid-shadow occlusion still. No worries. No worries. I'm kind of excited that we're starting to get into more like color theory and stuff. Because I actually really enjoy color theory. Welcome in, Zeb. Hey, Pichu. Wait, why did Pichu not spawn? Pichu's a ghost. I can post now? Okay. Sounds good. You actually did really good too, actually, Blaze, in your, this one that you did. You're not asking me to critique this one, but I really like how you did this one. The cast shadows on this are perfect. You got a really good grasp of, the cast shadows and blending out and stuff. I think you did a really good job on this. All right, let's see. Wait, I can't tell where your shadows are coming from, or your lighting. You have your lighting hidden. You have it on the second one. I can see it here. There should be cones. Oh, is this your cone? Cone? All right, so I presume your cone here. Are you trying to do like, from behind, right? Is that what you kind of decided for this one? Or is it like more the side? Maybe you're trying more like kind of side, behind, top. I think that's actually what you're probably trying to do. I think I see it now. Okay, so for this one, I would say probably a good thing for you, Blaze, might be start really, really big. So I would first look at like this whole body is very almost like a cylinder, right? It's very much like you can just look at it as like the torso as a cylinder, right? So if this light was hitting here, you would have, yeah, highlights very strong up here on the shoulder kind of thing, but your lighting would almost be half, right? Do you kind of see that? Which would mean that this area, your cast shadow would cover in this spot, right? So you'd want to cover that in. Right? And then even this would get covered too. Let me make a new layer. It's gonna be hard to correct these. Don't mind me for a second. Just gonna have to do it the hard way. But yeah, you're gonna have this part majority in shadow, and if we just look at it right now, we're gonna ignore her arm, right? Just like so. Kind of down the pocket, right? That kind of thing. And then something kind of like that, right? So we're just looking at it as like almost like a tube to start. And then I would say you definitely had the shadow right for the hair though, right? So this kind of area gets filled in. We're not doing the body, we're just looking at the clothes. But yes, the hair would create a little shadow like that. You have that part. Very well done. And then next we can look at, again, breaking down into cylinders to start, right? So this sleeve arm piece would have half of that covered. And then this arm, you can see as like a cylinder this way, right? Which means this is gonna hit the top half of the cylinder, right? So you're gonna have this kind of half covered, right? And then you were right in here. You were thinking the arm creates a cast shadow, right? I guess, so these are form shadows, kind of, in a way. And then this arm here is gonna cause a cast shadow down here. So you did have that right, that there'd be like some kind of hand light there. You can just do, it doesn't have to be perfect, just a rough shape that looks similar to what the hand looks like, right? So you got that part right. And that's pretty much it for having kind of this side upper lighting. And then like, yeah, if you want to kind of like, you know, make it some more diverse. You can kind of like add in spots to make it look a little different and stuff, right? Pocket. Then here, maybe we have more of a couple of lighter spots, but yeah. Does that kind of, does that approach make sense, Blaze? Could you see it a little better? And then for this shirt, right? So you have your light here, which is good. Got cut off a little bit, but looks like you're doing like just directly from the side. So again, if we treat the whole torso, again, since you have half lighting, it's gonna cover or take up half of your art in shadow. Right? And then I'd say you did this one really good. This arm right here, really, really good here. And how you have it like coming off here, but you see almost like half of this sleeve, and this sleeve would catch the light if it's coming from the halfway point. So this arm you did perfectly right here. And then here, we would actually catch a little bit of light on the bottom side of that sleeve, right? Can you kind of see that there? So just try to think of things as kind of cylinders. I see this one you did pretty good too. And then you can kind of like think about like, oh, the breast might pull in here a little bit. And then here, you know, have the top of the breast area. And again, you can just add like little pieces that make things look more interesting, some shades, some colors. But yeah, something like that kind of thing. So I would say for you, Blaze, first, really think of it as a simple shape first and draw the biggest shadow first, then work your way to those smaller shadows. And again, this is always going to be like, I think the hardest part for beginners is really trying to just focus on the big shadow first. Draw it as big and chunky. It doesn't have to, like, if it looks weird over top at first, that's fine, because you're gonna go back in and like refine and edit and do the smaller details later. But first, start with it really, really big and chunky, and really think about those shapes. Think of her like torso, and then she has an arm, right? And then this is kind of like another arm. And arm and arm. Think of her as like these kinds of shapes, right? And then we're gonna add in kind of, so this is kind of like how I think about it first, right? These are gonna be totally covered. So we first think of like the whole body as like a half, and then you can go in and work on the smaller parts. So like this arm and this arm, we added more shadows that way. And that's kind of like your rough shape right there. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to say, this is by eight, 7. Do the occlusions in the first one seem dark enough? I missed your original because I kind of painted over them. I can see a couple places that you added them, but don't be afraid, like for the occlusions, you can kind of round out places a little bit and stuff. So like something maybe like that, or coming down through there kind of thing. Really outlining that kind of line. So I would say you probably have it dark enough, maybe even a little bit too dark, but don't be afraid to thicken some areas and maybe like round out a little bit of a corner in like a edge and stuff, and just give them a little bit more variety rather than only just following your straight lines. But yeah, here, I'll get this piece saved for you. So yeah, don't forget, right now, start by drawing your lighting source and try to draw it 3D, because you're always going to want to be thinking in terms of 3D and making things look as three-dimensional as possible, right? So it'll get you good practice at drawing a cone in three-dimensional space as well, right? But yeah, Hopefully that helps you out a little bit, Blaze. One more question, yes? What do you got? Also, hello, Ham. Welcome in. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see the differences in the lighting, right? You did the second one pretty good, I would say. You just needed to come out. You just didn't quite have the body done enough. Oh, another screenshot in the Discord. So those would be, this is what Blaze has. I would say right now, not super necessary, but yes, you can. That's just gonna be, again, getting down into that fine detail and rendering, is you're gonna get more of these pockets of light and stuff like that. I'd say for right now, you don't need to worry about it. I would focus, you're gonna get more of an impact and more of a learning curve by just getting the big basic cast shadows down first, rather than focusing so much on these little tiny details and pockets of light. But it's like, yes, these are really good, I would say, but these are gonna be much more when you're like finishing a piece after adding 40 hours into it kind of idea, right? Is when you're gonna get to those real granular, fine-tuning, small details. A majority of the time when you're doing art, people aren't going to look that closely. And we notice this with AI art, right? Where a majority of the time, people are just looking at the overall perspective and the quick look at the piece. So you wanna make sure that the general shaping and everything is perfect first, because that's what people are gonna first see in their impressions. And then the longer they look at things, they'll see more of your rendering and stuff too. But that really first grab and attention is really important in art. So definitely the bigger picture is more important. So yeah, like again with AI art, right? You might not notice the 4-finger problem because the rest of the piece, like the balance of the pose and the lighting and everything all generally in the large sense looks very good, right? And it'll cause your brain to ignore some of those smaller pieces until you start looking at it longer, and then you start to notice the rendering problems and issues and stuff like that, right? So yeah, I'd say for right now, you don't have to worry too much about like separating the hair pieces and stuff, right? If you want to spend lots of time and get there, that's fine. But make sure if you are doing that, that your large blocking is solid first. That's all I'm saying. I stumbled on it by accident. I was gonna do solid, but thought it looked good, so just went with it. And that's what art is, Blaze. That is exactly what art is. So because you're like, that looks good or that looks right, then we keep it, right? If it's like, yeah, that looks like how it should in real life, that is basically what you're doing with art, is just keep modifying and adapting and changing until your brain goes, yeah, that looks good. That's how it should look, right? So that's perfect. Yep. Exactly. So 100%. So there you go. And I should have sent it to you. All right. There is an ad break playing though. Of course. I'm glad the critiquing helps. Yeah, it's definitely really hard to train yourself to not get lost in the little details. Like I said, even I have problems with it. I'll find that I start rendering too much in one area, or like I focus on shadows that I shouldn't be focused on yet and stuff. So it's really important to try to stop yourself from nitpicking about like perfectionist little details first, and just start big and broad. And I mean, the same thing goes, remember, for our sketching when we were talking about poses and stuff, right? Where we said the same thing, like, don't go in and start like, you know, oh, I am drawing a pose and I've got a face like a head and they're supposed to have eyes, so let's draw the eyes next, and oh, I'm missing like a neck, and oh, it should have a nose, and it like just becomes very like stiff, and like your proportions are all off and stuff. Whereas, you know, like if we keeping much more loose with lines and guidelines, you know, we can get a lot nicer building blocks to start, and then you know, start adding in your facial features and stuff like that, and just slowly, gradually going down to the smaller and smaller details. Basically, each step in art, you want to start really big and loose and sketchy and messy, and then you slowly clean up and get smaller and fix that messy part. That is a lot of what art is at every stage, is just like starting sketchy, messy, and then making it clean, and then you start over, make it messy and sketchy. It's like line, sketchy, messy, then you do line art to like complete it. Then you start with like really rough blockings of like color and stuff like that, and then you slowly refine those color pieces to get a nice base down, and then you start over again with lighting, where it's like messy blocking, big chunks of lighting, and then you render that down to be finer details. So it's just like starting over for each step, basically. All right, so for today's lesson, we can finally start our lesson. We have, today is gonna be focused on lighting and atmosphere. So, well, let me get the title. Ta-da! Color and lighting. Color and light. So, we have basically, we can get different colors and different moods and scenarios. Can all be very different based on our lighting scenarios. Hello, Bacon, welcome in. And Oz, welcome in. So, depending on lighting, objects can appear very different colors. So again, in each of these pictures, we have a picture of water and a sky, essentially, right? And we know that those all have the same theoretical color, but they look different in each one of these pictures, right? So for example, we have, you know, the water in this scenario is very blue, right? And then maybe in the sky, we've got some more pinks and some other blues, you know? So we got kind of that color palette going on in that image. And then again, this one is very like almost monochromatic, right? If you pick up different colors from different points, right? Totally different feels and energies in those colors, right? Even though they're just both pictures of water and sky, our color palettes are totally different. And even in two images that are like very almost like similar, like in colors, right? You can still have very different kind of colors, right? Within those palettes. Right? So even though they're both kind of sunset pictures, depending on the atmosphere and the light, they still are very different from each other too. Oh, I also forgot to mention this, my version of this course is up on the Discord as well, if you're looking for it in the pinned messages. So you can follow along and kind of color pick with me as well, and go through the lesson with me. There wasn't a package with the Isham course for this week, so I kind of just made one up for us and gave us a little bit of homework as well with it too. So, but yeah, you can see each of these kind of samples are very different from each other, these color palettes. And it's all because of atmosphere and lighting, mood lighting and stuff. So yeah, first thing to kind of touch on, we did touch about a little bit on this last week when we talked about the terminology. And this was just going to show a little bit more of the Clip Studio Paint version of it too. So we talked last week about how we have hue, saturation, and value, right? So our hue, again, spins around this wheel. This is when you go around the edge. Hello, Marina, welcome in. Then the saturation is when we're moving left to right. So we take that little dot in the color wheel, we move it left or right, and that is our saturation. And our value, or you'll also hear it called as brightness or luminosity in Clip Studio as well, is going to be top to bottom, moving that same little dot up or down, essentially. And you can access the hue, brightness, and saturation menu by using Control U in Clip Studio Paint. So I don't know what it is in other art programs, but you can kind of look up hue, brightness, or saturation, hue, saturation, brightness, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, find out what the control is for that. So for me, I'm just gonna kind of like show a little bit. Actually, before I go too far, I do want to talk about the word brightness a little bit. A lot of people will say the word brightness, and sometimes the word brightness will be very subjective to different people, especially when it's not an artist. So you might hear somebody like, or if you're getting an art commission from somebody and you tell like the artist, oh, you were hoping, the color was a bit more brighter. It can kind of be in two different things where the artist won't know if you're talking about the value to be brighter or the saturation to be brighter. So yeah, we just kind of like talk a little bit how the term bright kind of sometimes gets vague. So that's why I like to preferably use the word value every time I say it. Value or maybe even luminosity would be good, which is what Clip Studio Paint here has called it. Because I find brightness, some people say brightness and they mean saturation is kind of the tricky point. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So just get in the habit of using hue, saturation, luminosity, hue, saturation, value. I just say avoid brightness. I know Isham uses the term brightness in their course, but I find it could sometimes get you in a little bit wordy misunderstanding. And I mean, it's also translated from Korean to English, so the person that's translating it might just be using brightness, right? Because it's the word that they know. But yeah, teaching in English, we just prefer to use value or luminosity a lot of the times. So yeah, again, value is going to be your how light or dark, so how much white versus how much black is added into the color. Then we have our saturation, which is how vivid, meaning you have like 100% of that hue color, versus more murky or turbid. You'll also hear those terms a lot, which just means you're going to be more towards the grayscale, which is like 0% saturation, right? And then hue is obviously which color it is in the rainbow. How dare you say brightness, Lily Bonk? Bonk, no bright. Yeah, so then kind of just to show the Clip Studio, color wheel and stuff, and this menu a little bit in action. We're going to select, I'm just gonna highlight the sample color here and pick up the color with my eyedropper, and we're gonna have the color select for us in this menu here, right? So we're gonna draw. Before I explain or show off kind of this menu, I'll just go through and kind of show a little bit of the value, saturation, hue here. So we have our color, right? So if we pick up the color, we have our example color. Sorry, I'm gonna remove that selection, right? So we have our example color. So this is the hue that we have picked, which is this blue color, right? Then we have our saturation. So if we were to take this little dot down here, right, on our color wheel, and we move it all the way to the right, right, so that we're in this little point, that means that we're gonna have this color at 100% saturation, right? So this is 100% saturation. Then I'm just gonna pick up the same color again. And if we were then to take this little dot, we move it all the way to the left this time, right? We're gonna have this color at 0% saturation. Right, so 100% saturation to 0% saturation. And of course our color, example color, lies halfway between that because that's just where we had it. So yeah, that's kind of like just showing the saturation with the color wheel. And then the same thing where, so this is keeping your value consistent, right? When I did this, we didn't move the value of this color at all. We just moved the saturation all the way down to 0 and all the way to 100, but we kept the same value between these, which theoretically means if I were to actually turn these to grayscale, they should be the same color. It might be a little bit off. I can try to show this. There we go. It's pretty close. I might have wiggled here and there, but it's relatively the same color, right? So it's relatively the same value. Then, if we have the same color, I'm gonna pick it up again, right? And this time we're gonna have 100% value or 0% value technically, or how much light. So I'm gonna take this little dot again, right? And we're gonna move it all the way in a straight line to the top. We'll put in a color dot there. So this is having a consistent saturation now, right? So this is 100% light, and then if we do the same thing, drag it to the bottom, we have 100% dark. So this is keeping your saturation constant but moving your value. So this is just kind of like the manual way to kind of just show it, right? So this is constant value. And then this is constant saturation. So this is 100% value, 0% value, right? So hopefully that kind of like shows roughly kind of the difference there in your saturation and value. So then we can also kind of show this with the Control U option in Clip Studio Paint. So I'm just gonna select kind of our big square here, and with the W tool, press W, and I clicked on the square, and then I'm gonna hit Control U. You won't be able to see it on my screen because I have Clip Studio Paint chosen in Wardo, and it doesn't like to show unless I show my screen, my display. But it's bringing up this menu here for me, right? So it has hue at the top, and there's this little slider in the middle and a number as well. And it has the same thing for saturation and luminosity, right? So we can take the little slider. Here, I'll put it over top, and then maybe it'll kind of like, I don't think it's gonna look like I'm using it, but if I grab that little arrow that's right here in the hue, and I drag it around, it's going to change the hue, but keep our saturation and luminosity the same for the color that we picked, right? Are you meaning to line the constant with the examples? Oh, I just put the constant in the middle to show it's like in the middle between the two, because we're going far to one end and far to the other. Is that what you meant, Blaze? That's why I just kind of drew a line, or our normal color in the middle. But yeah, so like if we drag the hue. Oh, yes, so under the saturation, for when we did this part, right? Under the saturation, we kept a constant value when we did this experiment by moving the line, right? Because we didn't move it up and down at all, we only moved it left to right. This one, we kept our saturation constant for this one because we didn't move that line left or right at all, we only moved it up or down. That makes sense now? I think you said ooh, so I think you're following. And that's basically what we're doing now with this menu, right? We're doing the exact same thing that we just did manually, but up. And the computer is going to do it for us, which is the nice part about digital art, right? So I just wanted to kind of show and explain this kind of in a manual sense, like as if we had, you know, traditional art and paint, versus moving a slider, right? So again, if we move that hue slider around, you're going to change the hue or the color that we get, but we aren't changing the saturation or the luminosity at all, or the value, right? That's why it's got a little V, value. We're not moving those at all, so it's just basically changing the color. So like we can have the original. If you press this little preview button, you can see what your original was, and then if you click it back on the pure preview, it'll show you what your new color is that you're looking at, right? So we went from a blue to a green. We changed the hue and we kept our saturation and luminosity the same. So I'm just gonna cancel to back out, and I'm just gonna press it again. And we can do the same thing with our saturation now, right? So this blue, so theoretically, right, if we were to bump the saturation to 100%, we should get closer to this color, right? Versus if we went 0%, all the way to the left with the slider, we should get this, right? Ta-da! Look at that. So again, we go back to kind of the middle, and then if we were to do it to the other side, ta-da! We got the other color. Again, I'm a little bit off because, you know, I have to do it manually and I'm trying my best to draw a straight line, but the computer does it exactly for you, right? So you can kind of see our original color, and then yeah, increasing saturation, we get more of the blue, very bright. See, this is where the bright kind of comes in. We use bright to kind of mean a bunch of different things in art, right? It can mean lighting, and it can also mean saturation. So that's why I like to use the term saturation and value when I'm trying to talk about them specifically. So yeah, or we have more turbid or muddy or murky, kind of like a more mixed. It's not as vivid and bright as having 100% saturation in the color. So yeah, that's that slider. And then theoretically, we do it one more time with our luminosity now. We're either going to get white or black. So that is your value. So this takes it right to the corners when you do it in this method. I kept our saturation consistent. This goes like all the way to the edge essentially. And it can also be because when I do the color wheel, I also use the triangle too, because it's like a little bit more accurate of how coloring works. But the slider will bring you right to the very, very end, which is white, or all the way to the very other end, which will be pure black, right? So yeah, that is another example of the luminosity. So that's how you use the Control U. And of course, if you use Control U, you can do like a couple of different things. So like when I'm doing my art, if I'm like, I like the color, but it's not exactly what I was looking for. Like I want it to be a little bit more colorful or more vivid, you know, and maybe a little bit more to the green side. So, you know, I might move the blue to add a little more green in and make this kind of turquoise color by moving my hue a bit. So I moved it like -22 this way. And then I want it to be brighter, you know? So I'm gonna add in a little bit more saturation into the color. And then if I'm like, it's the right kind of feel, but it's a little bit too dark, then maybe I will lighten the color. And now I get more of a pretty sky blue, right? So kind of like using this U tool, Control U, you can kind of really refine your colors and hone in on exactly that shade that you're kind of looking for. So yeah, that's how Control U works. It gets used a lot when you're doing art, so definitely become very comfortable with learning the terms hue, saturation, and value, and also in learning kind of how Control U works, because you'll use it a lot, trust me. So yeah, and then we have lighting. So that's kind of like just talking about more of the program side of things and a little bit more terminology. So here we have kind of more talking about the light lesson. So lighting is when we have like our object illuminated so that we can actually physically see the shape, the 3D, the depth, and like what it looks like. If we had no light, we wouldn't be able to see anything, right? Light helps us see things. Whereas like if we're in the deep dark of space, you know, everything, unless you're close to a star that gives off light, everything's just gonna be black. We can't see anything, right? So light helps us see shape and color. And then different lighting and different environments can also give different results to your art piece. We talked about this a little bit last week, but I found this piece by Tatiana Turtzvik? I'm butchering the last name, but Tatiana did a really cute drawing of this little kitty cat here with this butterfly. And you can really see like the differences that your environment and lighting can have on the overall look of the piece. So again, this whole piece has the exact same structure behind it. There's the house in the background, we've got the trees, the butterfly, and the little cat. But of course, by changing the lighting for the piece, we can get totally different moods, right? Whereas this is like a very happy, bright morning, excursion adventure, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and then you have more of like a maybe more mysterious or calm, peaceful kind of lighting here. Then we have more of a sunset scenario, right? Kind of that golden hour, as photographers call it. It gives a very like almost beautiful kind of elegance feel. Then of course we can also have like weather effects that happen as well. So here we have more of like the rain coming through, has like a lot of atmospheric, oh, why did I forget the name? Oh, I forgot the name. Atmospheric perspective, which is kind of this hazing you see where you can't really see much of the background and stuff. Kind of closes everything in when it rains. It makes it harder to tell between details and stuff, whereas like the lighting has like so much details on the bushing and the trees and stuff, right? You kind of lose that in the rain. And then again, kind of like a nighttime, more fog, spooky kind of feeling in this one, right? So yeah, environment and lighting direction and type can play a huge role in how your art piece feels. Yeah, deep diving in the ocean makes everything look dull, even at noon. Exactly, because the light can't get all the way down there, so that's why it's so dark and dull and lacks shape. 100%, Cloro. 100%. So we have, oh yeah, and like I said, the two things we want to pay attention to, right, is lighting type and direction. So where the light is coming from and what kind of light it is, and then environment. So first we're gonna touch on lighting type and some terminology there, and then we'll talk about the environment after. I also need some water. My water blooped. Did you hear that bloop? Hello, Amakan, welcome in. Saturate your fox and plants. I am well saturated in a different sense. You did hear it? I thought it was the music. That was my water. It went bloop. Blop. All right. So, guess what? Our sphere is back. Yay! Sphere is here to teach us more about terming. So we have light source types. Bloop again for those in the back. Bloop. Wait, can I do it? There you go. I can make the water drop sound. The safety sphere. We love the sphere. The sphere tells us knowledge. Yeah, the baby hippo. His name is Mudang. Is a good hippo. All right. So we have our sphere here, and we're gonna kind of show the difference between the different kinds of light. So we have, to start off, our direct light, right? So direct light, pretty easy and self-explanatory. It's gonna be lighting from a source hitting the object and the most energy, right? So it's going to be the light that is like the predominant lighting in your scene, right? Like this is the light that you're gonna be seeing the most, right? Your main light. We use those terms as well, right? Our main light, our direct light. Then we have indirect lighting. right? So indirect lighting is lighting that is affected by light bouncing off of something and then kind of softly showing on the sphere. So if we remember from last week, we talked about kind of reflected light or ambient light, those kinds of things. There were those like soft glows on the sphere. That is your indirect lighting. So it's anything that is not your main light source is indirect lighting. Then we will also have environmental light, which is a type of indirect light. So it would fall under your indirect lighting category, because you either basically would have direct light or you would have indirect light. There's like only one or the other, right? So like you can have two direct lights, right? You can have a main light, a secondary light set up in photography. That'll happen quite a bit when you're making kind of more your artificial lighting scenarios. Or you can have your indirect lighting. So environmental lighting is a part of indirect lighting. He's a borb, the sphere borb. So yeah, we have our environmental light. It's a type of indirect light, and it's often, again, very faint or blurred, very subtle lighting, usually. So I then drew on kind of these lights so that you guys can see them, right? So first we have our direct light. Oh wait, let me actually let's put in an environment, right? So that you can kind of see the sphere in an environment. And then we have our direct light first, right? So we had our light up in this top upper right-hand corner, and it's going to be shining onto the sphere, and you're gonna get your yellow glow on top of the sphere. Then we're gonna add in our indirect light from this main light. It's very subtle there. Can you see it at the bottom of the sphere? See how if I turn it on and off, you get a little bit of yellow glow, right? So it's off and on, right? So this soft indirect light is caused, again, by that light going down, hitting the bottom and bouncing up onto the underside of this sphere here, right? So that is our reflected light or indirect lighting from our main light source. Then we will have the environmental lighting. So the environmental lighting will always be kind of like your main color from the environment. So in this case, a majority of our environment is this blue color or the sky, right? So it's going to add a little bit of blue. So I turn it on and off again. Can you guys see that there on kind of this area right here? I added a little bit of environmental light just to turn that a little bit more blue, right? You can see it there. Another reason I had this bottom of my environment, I did turn it a little bit more to the green side, and that's because I used a yellow direct lighting with kind of a blue environment. So yellow and blue kind of mix together in a way and will create green, right? You know, your color mixing theories. So I added a little bit more green into this bottom section because it's going to add more. I'm dancing. I'm distracted. It's going to add a little bit more of that yellow light into this bottom plate here to make a little bit more green. So that's just why I kind of chose that color. But also, welcome in, Twin Raid. How are you guys doing? Welcome on in. We're doing some art lessons again today. This week is talking about color and light and atmosphere and how kind of your environment and lighting affects your pieces. But yeah, welcome on in. We're in the middle of the lesson. I hope you guys had a good stream. Did you do some art today? Or was it yep, art today. Do you guys do art every Tuesday? You look so cute, thank you. Ro did some art. What are we learning today? Color and lighting, essentially. Oh, every Tuesday and Thursday. That's amazing. I love that. What did you guys draw today? Do you have some art tacks you want to share? We can take a little mini break here. But yeah, we're just talking about light sources at the moment. And Foxstars, be sure to give Romanies some love as well. Yeah, I'd love to see it. So yeah, these are the kind of names for the light sources now. So now that I have them all applied, I can kind of show you where they all are, right? So our direct light coming on in from this light source up here. And then we have our indirect lighting down here that bounces off the floor and lights up the underside of the sphere just ever so slightly. And again, because it's like more indirect lighting, it is more subtle and soft compared to the direct light, which is very like in your face, right? Then we also have the environmental light. Again, it's just kind of environmental light because it's just kind of everywhere. It's kind of bouncing all over the place, right? And it's kind of soft because of that, because it's been bouncing around so much, but it gives just like a subtle glow to the subject. And it's, yeah, usually the main environmental source color, or like the sky color often gets used. So yeah, you'll notice some really good artists, they'll like pick up from their color picker just like a little bit from their sky and like maybe apply it a little bit to like the cheeks of the character or something, to just give it a little bit of subtle environmental light, and it kind of like makes the person feel more like they're in the environment. Ooh, Arcadia art. Oh, I'm excited to see. Takes me back. Yeah, whenever you get the link, just let us know. Gigi might have to permit you again if it's not in time. Oh, I just started doing art again after 10 years of stopping. My goodness. That is, I feel like that's a hard horse to get back on. I feel like even when I take a break for a little bit of art, it's like I get scared to jump back on the horse. Just trying as fast as you can. No worries, no worries. Oh, message on Twitter for sure. Yeah, I don't know what my thing was doing. It's fine. Sketch Arcadia in a new outfit and started a Fox Bunny. Heck yeah, Fox Bunny. Ooh, I remember this one. Ah, the Fox Bunny. Yeah, let's see. So this is the one that we got to see last time. Beautiful. Turned out amazing. And then it looks like you started. You were very busy. You got a lot done. She's all finished now. It looks very pretty and so soft. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then it looks like you had this one. You got the line and the base color started for. I like this one. Is this a Halloween one? Or is this like just what the character looks like? Because this looks very Halloween-y. I like it a lot. Oh, the boots are so cute with those little bells. Heck yeah, Halloween. I'm excited. I want to do some Halloween art. I want to get in the Halloween art mood. It looks really good. It looks really, really good. I like the sketch. Very cute character. Rosario is so good. I agree. And then we have this. Oh, the little fox and a bunny. I love it so much. Oh, OC Tundra. Love her so much. Gonna work on that sketch some more. I love it. You have some amazing OCs Midnight. Amazing. I'm biased to this one. I like Bunny and I like Fox. Look at the cute pose. Look at the little fox face. He's such a cutie. We're joint parents. It's so cute. I really like this earring too. It's got nice space. It really draws your eye to the character's face a lot. But I paid for it, yes. You're the favorite then. You got the wallet, you're the favorite. Favorite parent. These are absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Romanese, for sharing. Make sure to go, if you want to see more beautiful art like this, go give Romanese a follow. It is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, the Wendy's. But yeah, so we're just gonna be continuing on our lesson for today. Again, we're gonna be talking about lighting, so if that interests you or you wanna study along with me, maybe you're studying something else, maybe you're just playing games and just wanting some chill atmosphere to hang out with, happy to have you here, so thank you again, Romanese. Love the new model, thank you so much. It was a lot of time and work, but it's so good. I'm so happy with it. All right. So yeah, that's kind of our light sourcing terminology. Also go. For name, welcome in name. Gonna lurk, of course. Gotta go check my sugar, go get the important things done. Enjoy the lurk. Yearly phasmophobia soon. I'm not talking about it. And I'm off to bed. Good night, name. Sweet dreams to you as well. Alrighty. So, enjoy the lurk midnight as well. All right, so now we're gonna talk about a couple of different lighting scenarios, right? So we kind of just talked about the different parts of the lighting terminology. This is kind of different light setups that are very common either in photography or animation. I tried to find animation examples. It's a little bit harder. More often, it'll be used for illustration rather than animation. But yeah, well, I'll just like talking and show. So first up one we have is plain light. So plain light is when the light basically completely encompasses the object or subject. So it's going to show the most accurate colors and look of the character. So again, we have completely covers the object in light. It'll often be like one generic color that you see, which is generally like a bright color, and it shows a lot of the details and portrays the characters in, I put in quotations, real color. So like the accurate color of the character, right? The shadows are not obscuring what it looks like and stuff. You can see the character 100%. And often it'll be lighting from the front. So for example, how I am lit up right now. It's basically a front lighting. You see 100% of me. You don't see a lot of shadows on me, right? It's just a very generic and plain lighting. So you can kind of see in the animal examples, right? Everything is very uniform in the colors over top of the animals. You still get like bits of like environmental lighting coming through, right? Whereas like this one has a little bit more of that gray wash because the environment is very gray and washed, right? But for the most part, the subject is completely in view, encased in light. Jiangshi, LiLi Iron for Halloween. I would love that. I would heckin' love that. And this is often the lighting that you see in animation. Majority of animation is done with just plain lighting. They don't really often go too heavy into creating shadows and atmosphere and stuff like that in a lot of animations. There are, of course, exceptions, and I will share some. But a majority of the time, animations, especially things like, you know, slice of life and stuff where they're just like in a school or something, you're gonna get a lot of just generic plain lighting, right? So just some different character examples. So yeah, plain light. it's the easiest one to do. And that's why animators use plain light a majority of the time, because it's easy, right? And takes the least amount of steps and editing to get it to look nice. So animation, you're working fast, you want to complete things fast. So generic and plain lighting is an easy go-to. So, did you just randomly pick the characters, or do you know who they are and pick them? I know 2 of those characters. I know the Naruto character and the pink-haired character. I didn't know the top one. I just basically was searching for examples of animations that showed the light very well. And this one actually is very much more modern. It must be a newer anime. Hidden Rainbows! Thank you for the raid! Another amazing artist popping in. Hi, Rainbows! I'm dancing. How was your stream? Were you guys doing art today? You should definitely check out Rainbow's art, Foxfire. Absolutely amazing. Look at those emotes. You will not be disappointed. Check out Rainbows. They're very sweet as well. But were you guys doing art? Or did you have something else? Was it body art? Art? I guess body art, 2D art, maybe traditional art. Rainbows does lots of art. You're painting a Luna moth. Do you have art tags? Do you want to share what you're working on, Rainbows? I would love to show it off. But yeah, for this piece, yeah, it was definitely more of a modern take on modern anime art. So yeah, I wanted to show it off that way. But hello, Artie. Thank you for the follow and welcome to the Foxfires. Go. Yeah, Rainbows is the artist for the gingerbread emotes I have. They're amazing. Yeah, if you have a picture with either a link or send it to me, just let me know. If you do have a link, just let me know ahead of time so that I can give you link permits, or GG or Blaze can, so you don't get yeeted by the bot. I should explain what we're doing here today. Hello, my name's LiLi, and we are going through every Tuesday. We do art lessons. So I've been trying to improve my art, and I've been taking a course by Isham is their name. They're a Korean artists. I bought their course on Coloso, and yeah, every Tuesday I've been going through and taking notes on the course, and then kind of teaching it back to you guys as a way to reinforce the knowledge to myself, and to hopefully help anybody out there that wants to better their art journey too. I always say, buy the course and follow it along with me, because Isham is a much better artist than I am, and they'll be able to teach things probably a lot better. But if you can't afford it, I still like, art to be accessible for everybody. So, of course, my VODs for every course that we've gone through is up on YouTube, so you can go back and watch any of those if you're interested. And yeah, today we're working on color, lighting, and environment and atmosphere and how it affects your pieces. Hello, Antega, welcome in. Yeah, there's the learn art progress. Yeah, chica. Exactly. I haven't seen, it's Love is War, right? Is the name of that anime? I haven't actually seen it. I've been told to watch it though. But I do know the chica dance. Of course I know the chica dance. What kind of art do you do? I mostly just do digital art. Pretty much only traditional art. I don't know if I have anything that I could show off. I haven't even done many things recently. Everything's just been commissions. I don't have any personal art. Here, you could show off because it's Halloween, and I found your character here that I did. And she's a cutie. This is like a little character here that I drew, little chibi. Some of my art. He's a cutie, thank you. I should open it up again for Halloween, but I don't know if I'll get to because I'm so behind on commissions already. I've been kind of taking my commission time and spending it as art learning time to get better so that I can then do better commissions in the future. It's like a feedback loop. But yeah, thank you. This is one I did like last year. Process in progress shot in my stories. Okay to post on my Instagram. Of course, Rainbows. Here, Blaze, can you give Hidden Rainbows some permit link? Exclamation point permit Hidden Rainbows. Thank you. Yes, absolutely free to post your Instagram. I just might have to, because of the way my Wardo is set up, I just might have to copy it over into my Clip Studio. But with Instagram, you can see more of Rainbow's beautiful art. Let's see. Oh no! Wait, is it in, Here, I'm gonna have to see. I wanna see the Luna Moth, so I'm gonna go to Instagram myself so I can actually see. Because I can't see the stories. Oh, it's so pretty! Oh, it's beautiful. Hold on, I can do it like this. But I'll show more of your art too. Because Rainbows does stunning work. I've known Rainbows for a long time. Rainbow, you play Pokemon Go? I just got back into it. Hold on. Don't get too distracted, LiLi. No, it's okay. I don't know how to share the link either, so I'm just gonna do it this way. I can send it to my Discord by taking a screenshot from my phone. Big brain. Big brain. I got it. Ta-da! Look at the Luna Moth! It's so pretty. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, puffins are so cute. I haven't been on a while, that's fine. We're just talking about puffins, and we got a puffin in today's lesson. Oh, this is just so stunning. I love the colors, and even the like little sparkles too, with like all the little like atmosphere you did on it. Oh, beautiful. The colors are so perfect too. Your color palette for this, perfect. The little flowers match the Luna Moth perfectly. Beautiful work. And yeah, you can see more of Rainbow's works at their Instagram, or follow them on Twitch to see them draw live. But yeah, you can see more. Like, look at this cute little owl. Oh, it's like telling me to sign in on Instagram. Wait, I gotta show your fox pillow. Oh, it doesn't let me. Let me see if I can do this. We're gonna try something. Oh. Hold on. Dork? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? No! Why is it not showing? See, this is where it gets too complicated. Maybe it's this one? No, why doesn't it show? It does not. It never likes browser links for whatever reason. That's okay. Definitely check out Rainbow's Instagram because it's amazing. You'll see all the beautiful art there. And Rainbows, thank you very much again for the raid. If you have to go and rest up, please do take care of yourself. I could chat to you all night, but I know you've probably been streaming for a while, so go rest up. Don't let me keep you. And thank you for sharing your art. Oh no, your fox toe. Yeah, Rainbows has a beautiful fox art that I love so much. Yeah, I missed you too, Rainbow. But yeah, so back into the lesson. Basically, plain light, very often used for anime and animation in general because it makes it easier, shows the accurate colors, and everything. So we have plain light. Then we have backlighting. Ta-da! So backlighting is used very often by photographers. They find that it gives like almost like the beauty shot or the golden hour. You'll hear a lot. Rim lighting is like this technique where you get the little bit of lighting almost creating like a halo of light around the outer image of the character. So this occurs when you have your lighting behind the subject and pointing at the character. Welcome in, Red Bean. So yeah, you get this kind of, a lot of times in real photography, this golden, like if you're out in nature and you're using the sunset behind your subject, you get these golden halo-esque, very elegant, beautiful shots in nature. And then it was really hard to find examples of backlighting in anime, but I did find a couple. I think the Steins Gate one really shows it very, very well, because like you can even see the lighting set up in the background, right? So you have your main light behind the character back here, and then they also have a bounce lighting, is what it's called, like a umbrella here. So what this does is basically it picks up the lighting and bounces it at our character, right? It like kind of takes all this lighting and focuses out, sneeze, focuses out onto your characters or wherever you want to put it. And it also diffuses the light a little bit to make it a little bit less harsh. But yeah, I think this Steins Gate one really, really showed the lighting very, very well, because you can see it on the backs. Second sneeze. You can see it along the backs of these characters, right? Or it would be lighting the fronts of these characters, right? Because these guys are facing the light, so it's going to be lighting up the fronts of them, and you're only just going to get lighting on the front two areas there, whereas these guys are facing away and towards the camera with the light pointed at the camera, so you're going to get more of the rim lighting on their backs. Wasn't expecting a learning stream. Well, welcome on in. Yeah, we do art lessons every Tuesday. Every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. usually. Every Tuesday. Oh, PST. And then also, sometimes rim lighting can also be used to give different moods. So in photography, when it's in nature, a lot of times it'll give that like warm, elegant, kind of halo beauty, I guess. Like it's just very, very beautiful and stunning, right? But you can use it for different scenarios. So in this Steins Gate one, they're using it more to be kind of like mysterious, right? Where they're kind of obscuring more of the bodies in shadow, right? To give it more of an air of mystery. And that kind of comes with kind of the color choices that they used, making it a little bit more of those turbid or murky colors, right? Not super vibrant, to get it more of that mystery feel, right? Whereas in this one, they're using the lighting to kind of feel more powerful, right? With the lightning effects and stuff like that. And they're really like encompassing the character in this glow to give more energy or power to the character, right? And then, of course, our example of more that golden hour example, we have Hollow here, kind of enveloped in that sunsetty environmental light, like the real world examples, right? To kind of give it that like soft, really beautiful, elegant feels and vibes to it, right? And again, you can see like the little halos of light between her hair here and stuff. And you do see like a little bit on his nose and stuff too. Also, fun fact, we're gonna be watching this anime tomorrow in the Discord. We Wednesday plug. We watch anime every Wednesday night. And yeah, we're just starting up the new Spice and Wolf remake. So yeah, we're gonna be watching this tomorrow at 6 p.m. in the Discord. follow along if you're interested in watching. Also, Red Bean, thank you for the follow and welcome to the Foxfires. Go, go. Party Parrot. So yeah, that is backlighting or rim light on characters. So then we have one more that we're gonna kind of talk about here, which is side lighting. And again, these are all pretty generic. Again, plain light, lighting from the front, backlight, lighting from the back, side lighting, side is on, or the lighting is on the side. Who would have guessed? So side lighting is also a really, really popular lighting tactic for photography, for portraits very often. And so side lighting will give much more depth and almost like drama to a piece and makes it feel very, very like the high contrast between the light and the dark gives that kind of intensity or drama. And it also gives a lot of like form and texture into the characters. So like in these photography examples, right? Like it really brings out like the texture in their hair, right? And like the eyelashes and the eyes really stand out and stuff, or in the fur of the animals, right? It really, really pops out. Like you can see all this like texturing in the fur here and the different layers and stuff to it, right? And then again, it makes it feel very dramatic. It can be very, very like powerful because the contrast between that light and dark is very, very strong. So it's a very strong statement. So this one was a little bit easier. It still wasn't super easy to find examples for, but a little bit easier. We have, I don't know the anime for the first one, but I think this one is a really good example of showing like that side lighting in a very like cell shaded style. So again, like all the lines in here are very harsh and like solid, right? So it's really, really showing like a statement of where those light and shadows are, and it makes it extremely dramatic, right? It's very bold. And then another example, we have Light from Death Note being very, very dramatic again, but we have most of the light all coming from this side, showing like illuminating on his face and stuff, whereas the backside is all kind of cast in shadow, right? So it shows very much like it's keeping his character as the main focus that you see, right? And then again, same thing with Hollow here, where we have the sunlight or moonlight coming in from the one side and the rest of the body being cast in shadow. And again, they're using a very like nice little trick of adding just a little bit of highlight to kind of like the little lip piece here and just under the eye to kind of really make you draw your eye to her face as well, right? Like it really makes it pop and stand out. So again, it's kind of like showing that texture and depth more boldly. Very bold choice. And I would also say too, like if we're talking about anime lighting, I would say Death Note does a very, very good job of using lighting to kind of like, it's like, it almost like uses lighting as a like psychology, like, or like a mental trickery almost too. Like they use the lighting as a way to change how you feel about a character a lot. So you'll see like when Light Yagami is portraying as Kira, or if you don't know the anime, as like kind of like a killer, they'll often use more of this dramatic lighting and like bold contrast. It makes them feel very strong and intimidating and stuff of a character. Whereas if they are portraying him as Light Yagami, the intellect school boy that he is, they'll use more things, like maybe they might use more the rim lighting, or like kind of like a soft, elegant lighting to portray kind of more of an innocence, or soft lighting to the character, and it makes you feel like he's somebody, you know, that can be trusted. And yeah, so like they really mess with like your psychology of like how you feel about a character with their lighting in that series. They do a really, really good job of it. And I mean, I could talk about, like, I really enjoy the manga of Death Note as well, because like the artist did a crazy job of drawing Kira from the beginning to end. If you look at the first panel of the character and you compare that version of Light Yagami to the last panel of Light Yagami, they look like two completely different characters. And I think that is fascinating that they drew it so subtly over time through the entire manga that you don't see the change in that character. And that's like a huge part of that series too, right? Is like seeing his devolve into, I guess, madness, right? So I think like a very, very strong mangaka artist. And they did a good job in the anime too with the lighting for it to kind of portray that in a shorter period of time. But yeah, so that is some different lighting types in both photography and real world examples. So then we have our last section. So that was kind of all about lighting directions and lighting types. So now we will talk about environmental theory. So we have our light spectrum. And you're gonna be like, LiLi, what the heck is this? Thought this was in our class, science class. Well, guess what? We need to understand light science to apply it to our art. Time to watch Death Note and study the lighting. It's older, but it is really good for the art that they did at the time. But yeah, so we have our light spectrum here. So we have our light that we can see, right? This is like the whole band of light, right? And light are waves, wavelengths, right? Light comes in as waves. And you will have very, very close together short waves. And then as it goes, it will get longer and longer and longer for those light wavelengths. And we have a very small section of light that we can actually visibly see. So this is our visible spectrum of light, which is our hues, or the Roy G. Biv, you know, if you learned in elementary school, or the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, right? So that is this little tiny band of color that we are able to see. And then of course, when the band of light gets too long, we get into infrared, microwaves, and like radio waves and stuff like that, where we can't see those colors anymore, right? They become invisible to us. Or the same thing goes for if there is too much energy into the wavelengths, they get shorter and shorter, and we get like your ultraviolet, your X-rays, and your gamma rays. And these get, you know, like increasingly more dangerous to us, right? Like when you're getting X-rays, you know, you gotta wear like the lead suit at the dentist so that you don't get the X-rays in you. But yeah, so like, and if you think about the X-ray, like you can't see anything that's happening, right? But if you were a creature that could see into X-rays, you would see some form of light, right? But as humans, we can't see it. So as artists, we focus on the visible light, but it's important to know kind of this is how light works, right? So we have less energy, we get more to this red side of our visible light spectrum, right? when we get less energy in the waves, versus if the waves have a lot of energy to them, we go closer to the purple or violet side of light, right? So, with that knowledge, but that's how you get the superpowers. No radioactive spiders here. All right, so with that knowledge, we can look at our atmosphere. So the sky appears as different colors, right? So you can see in the first example, right? The sky looks very blue in this color, right? But the sky isn't actually blue, right? And the sky can also be very red, like in this example, right? But we know that the sky is not actually red, right? So it's like, well, what color is the sky? The answer is whatever the light decides to do is what color is the sky. So you could kind of think of the sky as like a prism, right? So how a prism works, right? We have the sunlight passes into a prism. Your light goes wee, 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 light all the way down into this prism. And when it hits the prism, depending on the angle that it enters like the prisms, right? You get different bands of light being either any of the colors in our visible spectrum that we can see. Technically, you know, it would be bigger than this, but these are the only ones that we can actually see, right? So it would go even more and less, but we can't see those, right? But depending on our atmosphere, so you can kind of think of the atmosphere as, in our atmosphere, there's lots of like gas particles or water particles, like a bunch of little droplets and things in our atmosphere, right? We're not in space. We don't have a void, right? If it's everything in space, it's a vacuum, there are no particles, right? It doesn't disperse the light. It's just black in space, right? Like you can't see anything because there's nothing there for the light to bounce off of. But here on Earth, we have an atmosphere, which means we have a bunch of little particles of air and stuff that protect us. So you could think of all those little individual particles as a little bit of like a glass prism almost, right? A little thing where when the light enters it at a different angle, you're going to see different colors as a result. When we'll be seeing examples of the light shading and stuff in art examples later on. Sorry, I'll use your name after this. I was just always a teacher before raising my darn. It's good. We had somebody call me sensei earlier too. Do you mean like examples of light shading and stuff in art examples later on? So we did touch a little bit last episode. We did a little bit of review. But is this kind of more what you meant for shading? We talked a little bit last week about value. So adding, you know, like folds and lighting and stuff into the different art pieces. So this one we had like our light from in front. This one we had our light from behind. Is that what you mean by no? Okay. When we'll be seeing examples of the light shading and stuff in art examples later on. Oh, for this one, maybe you mean like applying the light to different pieces of artwork. Is that what you mean? Because that is actually next lesson. That is next week's lesson. Maybe more like this. Your name isn't Sensei? Who would have guessed? I'm gonna use Isham's example from next week because I think it might show what you're asking. Doing things like, okay, they have it all blank. Where's your color? Ah, here it is. Like this. Applying the light techniques to an actual art. Is this what you mean? I'm wearing a Senpai Squad shirt. You're ready for this lesson, apparently, 7. You showed the backlighting in real and anime. Oh, you mean like in an illustration instead? I wanted to add illustration examples, but honestly, it was really hard to find real people examples on Google that wasn't AI. Really hard. So that's why I stuck with the anime, because I knew it was actual real people that drew it. But as much as I hate to say it, all the AI is very good at showing lighting examples on characters. So if you do want to see something like that, you can just search, you know, the internet with examples of like rim lighting on illustration or something like that. Like you can just Google anime backlighting and AI will show you a ton of backlit anime characters, and it is really good. I just hate to share it, you know? And you can learn from AI because honestly, AI can draw better than me. You know, I am not an amazing artist. The computer can still draw better than me. Which means as a result, because it's just stealing from masters, right? And those masters can draw better than me. So theoretically, I can still study some of the lighting and stuff in AI. I just didn't want to like promote it too much in an art lesson, you know? You know how it is. Lies. Yeah, they need to make an app to remove AI art from your searches. That would be nice. It was real hard. Actually, Ilsham does a good job of showing different lighting. So you could just probably even Google this artist's name and illustrations, and you'll probably get like a lot of really good examples. So this would be like a good example of like a bit of side lighting, and it's by the creator of this course, right? They actually, in their course, in their example, they actually show 3 illustrations by themselves that show 3 different kind of lighting. But yeah, like there's one here. This kind of shows more of like a side lighting with a bit of frontal lighting in this one. This one has kind of that front lighting with like maybe a little bit of backlit blue light behind it. Like this, the artist that made this course is like, oh, I love their art. It's beautiful. So yeah, you could look up Ilsham, which is 2 SHAM, and look at their examples on Google. They're very, very beautiful. And you could kind of see some examples there. But yeah, I wanted to use some illustration, but then I just got worried because this can be very hard to tell what is AI and what is not on Google sometimes. So, Also, welcome in, Psycho. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, if you want to see examples, definitely check out the internet. I can close rainbow stuff too. And then next week we'll actually be like applying these lighting techniques to our characters. So that's gonna be next week. Right now it's just mostly learning the theory of lighting. We gotta learn the science and understand its roots before we can apply it, right? Oh, I haven't seen your draw, but I bet you're great considering what Rainbow said. Aw, thank you, Red Bean. I appreciate it. I still got lots to learn. You know, everybody's got different points in their art journey. And you know, there's no shame in there. No shame in that. I'm happy with where I'm at. And I'm happy to keep learning too. A hydration and quick stretchy, thank you, Blaze. You just remembered a good video for lighting. But yeah, So getting back to our atmosphere, you can think of it as having like a bunch of little prisms, and based on how the light is angled will give you different colors. So when the sun, for example, is right over top of our planet here, right? We have, hold on, there we go. The waves are gonna be at their shortest, and there's gonna be the most energy in the sky. So those short wavelengths are gonna be like the dominant color and appearance that comes out and that you see from your light. So they dominate more, and it will end up giving us more of those blue colors, right? For like a mid-afternoon sky when the sun is directly over top. Whereas a red sky will appear when, you know, the sun starts to either rise or set. Your lighting angles are going to be more at an angle to where you're seeing them, right? Which means that there's going to have a longer travel distance, and it's going to have a longer waveform to give more of that red appearance, right? So that's why we can kind of have like different sky and watercolors, but we know like it's all like one color, right? Same thing goes for our different pieces too. So yeah, that is pretty much that example. And then I kind of did this to showcase like you can see like in photography, right? You can see the different lighting throughout a day, and like just looking at these pictures, you kind of intrinsically know in your head, oh, this is taken at midday, right? Whereas this one is closer to the evening, right? And this one is morning time here, right? And you can kind of like, just looking at the same picture, you can almost like categorize them by the different times of the day just by looking at it, right? Oh, perfect. Thank you, Turtle, for dropping the tutorial in. So even when the sky is red, it's actually still blue, but looks red to us. So yes and no. It's only blue because of the angle that the sun is at. So the sky technically has no color, right? If we had no sun, for example, that's dark, right? The sun goes behind the other side of the world, essentially, right? And you're left in the shadow, meaning that there is no light. It becomes nighttime, right? And the color of the sky is very black, or it has an absence of light or an absence of color, right? So the sky has no color, but when the sun rises and we get those rays coming through our atmosphere, it makes different colors. You can also notice, kind of like a little fun fact, is in really like polluted cities, because there are more pollution particles in the sky, when it comes to sunsets or sunrises, those cities, because of their pollution, they'll have very, very vivid red and colorful sunrises and sunsets. And it's because of the pollution particles. It's kind of like sad because it means like, oh, the environment is really poor air quality, but it makes these really beautiful colored reds, purples, colors, right? So yes and no. Like the sky has no color, but it gets its color from the light passing through the atmosphere. So yeah, it's technically no color, but I get what you're saying. Whereas like, you know, a default sky is blue because a majority of the time the light is very bright and energetic, so you get that like blue color through a majority of the times of day, right? But for an example, when you get like lots of clouds or something becomes more overcast, right, you get more of like these kind of weather effects in this example, right? Whereas the sky is more gray or like a white color, and it's just like those clouds causing interference for that light, and you see more of like a pale or gray or overcast kind of murky color. I know, pretty pollution view from here. Oh, you can see the brown above the basin from the pollution. Stuff in the atmosphere scatters the light. Yeah, blue is scattered first, yeah. So the blue color comes from when there's like more energy, very short wavelengths passing through. It's bouncing around a lot, short angle. What about Aurora Borealis? I believe Aurora Borealis are caused by electromagnetism in the sky. Don't quote me on that. I don't 100% know about Aurora Borealis. I want to say it's something to do with like magnetism fields, right? So it might be the same thing where those electromagnetisms fields might move the particles around in like certain ways and patterns, and then maybe the light refracting through that makes rainbow colors. Ionized particles from the sun interacting with Earth's electromagnetic field. There we go. I was pretty close. There you go. Yeah, very fascinating. Now you can tell people that you know why the sky is blue. It's kind of like a little trivia fun fact. You can now tell people you understand why the sky is blue versus like when it's red. And it's all to do with the sun's angle of light, basically. That's kind of like the really low way to boil it down. But yeah, so like we can see different times of the day, we get different effects, or you can have different weather effects as well. So I tried to pick like this piece of, you know, the Eiffel Tower, and you can see kind of if you're picking up like kind of the sky colors, right? Versus like the shades on this Eiffel Tower, right? The shades are kind of more golden. Those are kind of like the feel. You kind of can create these little color palettes or mood boards to kind of see, right? So again, we have like weather effects, very grayscale. Right? So the shadows, even though it's the Eiffel Tower, right? And the Eiffel Tower doesn't change color, right? But in these pieces and in these examples, it's kind of changing color because of the atmosphere and environment that it's in. So you can kind of color pick with me, you know, pick up something from the sky, maybe something from like a main color of the piece. And then I like to pick up like one of the shadows, one of the really dark spots to kind of give 3 different colors, right? So your highlight, basically the main skylight color. Then you're gonna have like your mid color, which is like the Eiffel Tower in the middle. And then find something on the Eiffel Tower that's really, really dark, and that's gonna be kind of like your shadow color, right? So as you can see through all the different pieces, it's the same Eiffel Tower, but it has very different colors. Even though it's the same color, it has different colors because of the atmosphere and lighting. Different gases being ionized, there you go. And probably the ionization of the gases probably causes the light to scatter differently, causing those crazy rainbow colors like a prism, right? Do artists ever take white balance into account? I'm not sure, because I don't do photography, so I don't really know much about white balance. I believe white balance is, you kind of like, isn't that like how like you can change the colors of the pieces because you can kind of like when your phone, if you click on like a lighter part, it kind of adjusts the colors to that lighter part that you clicked on, versus when you click on something that's a little bit darker, it adjusts the colors to kind of be more around that color. I think that's what white balance kind of does on a camera, right? I don't know much photography personally, but in that case, artists kind of account for it and kind of don't at the same time. In certain cases, yes, but you'll often see that thing where it's the optical illusion where you have two colors. Like you have, I could probably do it, where you have a circle, right? And then if you were to draw, it's like an optical illusion where you draw white on one side of the circle and you draw black on the other. Right, so if we draw one gray circle with a black box, and then you take the same color and you do it with a white box, right? The one with the white around it looks like it's darker in color than the one with black around it. It would look better if this didn't have white around it. Like you're supposed to only see, the optical illusion doesn't really show very well in this. But if you were to like crop this so you only see the black versus the white on either half of the whole picture, you'll really see that the black one with the black background looks very white and the gray dot with the white background looks very black. And it's like an optical illusion. And that can be a pain in the butt for artists. It can be very tricky, and finding a balance for that can be very difficult to do. Like even example, like my character, I choose to have like a darker background for this character for my background images, right? And my overlays, so that my lighter colors show off and pop out more, right? Whereas if I were to have a white background, I would look very gray and turbid and not as like crystal clear, even though it's the same colors and all I'm doing is changing the background, right? So it can be pain in the butt for artists. That and different monitor colors are the bane of artist existence. Can you zoom on the board? Absolutely. On this guy. Yeah. Yeah, your eyes adjusting to the lighting. White balance. Tries to make a picture look like how you would see it. Yeah, for sure, for sure. More blue or yellow, basically. Yeah, artists, you don't really have to worry about that as much, I would say, because it'd be kind of difficult to control all the factors. But yeah, so that is just kind of like our colors throughout the day and how they can atmosphere effects. So we have kind of Isham talked about the order of operations for your kind of coloring. So this is kind of how they do it. They first set a direction of light for their piece. Then they will paint the default color of the environment, default environment color. Then they will add their color of light source directly under. So they're just adding that main lighting direction to their subject. Then they'll go in and add in the reflective light, cast shadows, and form shadows after that. And then after that, adding any like final details or touch-ups, maybe little highlights and stuff is kind of their last step. So that's kind of like their art little process in 5 steps that they do. And I think a lot of artists basically take these kind of steps to a illustration. They also mentioned a method called glazing. I've also heard like gradient mapping, glazing, grayscale to color. There was like a couple of kind of like different things you might hear it to be referred to as, but they call it glazing. And you paint in your values first in black and white. So you can see this example here. You paint them in black and white first, and then after you start adding in the colors on top, and that is called glazing. So yeah, you can use like gradient maps to do this, to like add in the color and stuff. And it's an easy way to start for beginners when you're unsure about coloring. Because it's easier to just paint in black and white, right? You can really focus on just painting those values. Like we did it earlier in the course when we were doing the shirt and stuff, right? Where you could just like focus on picking out where those folds are, where those cast shadows are and everything. It becomes much more simple when you don't have to worry about atmosphere and lighting and environment and stuff, right? But it's good to not become too reliable on doing kind of like glazing. It's good like if you're having difficulties or you're confused maybe about a lighting situation or you're doing something overly complicated. But it's really, really good to understand your color theory first, right? But if you're like really, really struggling on your color theory, you can kind of do this little trick of glazing. And if you want to see glazing done, this example, this thumbnail, is done by Dave Greco on YouTube. So you can look up their YouTube channel. Their name is their YouTube channel. And you can watch that if you want to see kind of glazing in action. So, yeah. But yeah, so it's a method out there if you kind of are worried about your coloring and you want to just get started in coloring fast, because color theory is very complicated and a struggle. So yeah, it's just basically another technique with miniature painting called glazing that uses transparent acrylic paint to do more or less the same thing. Exactly, yeah. The glazing term is actually like a traditional artist technique where you're putting like washes on top of a canvas is actually where that comes from. But just this is how we apply it in digital art, is this method that Dave Greco does. But yeah, the term glazing is actually a traditional art term. So yeah, that's why you would see it in miniature painting. It's the exact same thing. Only see red in auroras during higher energy events because oxygen at those altitudes is so little density that it takes a lot to excite enough of it to be visible. Interesting. Also, hello, Bubby Jr. and Captain Corin. Welcome on in. How you doing? We're doing good. We're actually just coming to the end of our lesson here. So we have one last part, which is basically kind of going into our homework that we're gonna have. So I figured I would kind of like show you the example of the homework. Maybe if we have time, we can do a quick example, and then there'll be like one left over. So kind of applying these steps to our example here. So Isham said when they were like first learning color theory in their course, they talked about how they would just take the sphere method, right, and look at a picture, and they would just apply the lighting from the picture onto their sphere as an example to try to get used to figuring out what the colors are and stuff like that and how they interact with the scene. So we have this example, and then you can kind of see all my layers here. I have them kind of numbered by steps 1 through kind of 5 here, right? So her first example is find out where your lighting is, right? We want to know where we are going to put our light. So it doesn't have to be the same lighting that is in the picture, right? Like this lighting, our sun is coming almost, it's like a backlighting coming right to into the camera, right? I'm choosing to do mine in the top right-hand corner, right? So it doesn't have to be exactly the same. So pick your lighting direction. Then her next step is paint the environment color. So I added some colors. I just picked a random color for our sphere, which is just going to be this kind of grayish purple color. Gave ourselves a floor, and then kind of added in this strong lighting where we're going from kind of a very pale yellow fading into a blue, right? So after we have painted in our environment, our next step is going to be adding our main light source, right? So our main light source in this case is this strong bright yellow, right? The main light source in this is the sun. So it's that bright yellow dot in the middle that we see, right? The strongest point. Then we are going to add our cast shadow, first we're gonna add in the reflected and ambient light. So I actually have these lights over top of the shadow, just so that because they're kind of put onto the shadow. So that's just why these two forms are split. But Isham likes to do all the light first and then do the cast shadows. You can interchange these, but you want to make sure that your reflected lights and ambient lights are on top of the shadows. But yeah, so we have here, right? So we add a little bit of that kind of orangey, scattered, diffused, reflected light down onto the floor here, and then bouncing up just to the bottom of this ball shape. And then we also have the environment light. So I'm choosing more of this kind of blue color from this side, bouncing onto the ball. And then next step is to add in our shadows, our cast shadows, and our form shadows, right? So we have our cast shadow onto the floor here, right? And then a bit of that form shadow, which gives us, making the ball feel more like a sphere, right? Giving it that form. And for these shadows, right, I'm just choosing this dark purple color that I've picked up from kind of the rocks and the floor here, right? And applied it as a multiply layer. So yeah, that gives us our color, right? Ta-da! So yeah, that is the example that I just threw in for you guys to kind of look back from. Then we have another scenario. So yeah, we can start coloring this ourselves. So I think we got a little bit of time. We'll try to do this one, and then I'll leave the last one for you guys to do on your own for homework. Never understood grayscale, like how you know if it's supposed to be dark, example, the person's hair from the thumbnail, or a lighter one, like the skin tone of the thumbnail person. So that can be tricky because, yeah, like for example, red has like a darker value than, say, yellow, right? So it does take some intuitive thought when it comes to coloring, and that's why doing something completely in grayscale and glazing over top can sometimes leave your pieces looking not properly done. Hello, Pepe. Not properly done, or they look off. And there are ways to combat that, so like you don't necessarily need to know it in glazing. You can kind of fix that. There is like ways to adjust in digital art, you know, making things lighter or darker that way through, you know, adjustments and layer changes. But it's also kind of the reason why we don't want to too heavily rely on just having the computer fix it for us, right? Like doing it all in grayscale, adding the color and having it fixed, because then you will never learn kind of the color theory behind why, like, you know, red is, you know, a little bit darker in value and stuff. You'll start to be able to pick those up better and make like a more fitting or natural art piece. Also, Mud Bro, thank you for the follow and welcome to the Foxfires. Gone. All right, so let's add first order of business. We add our lighting. Where do we want the lighting this time? Should I just do the same? Maybe I'll just do the same kind of scenario for this one. Not keep it too difficult. So our lighting, very roughly draw our cone. So that's step 1. Finding our lighting direction. And then we want to paint our environment colors. So I'm going to, again, we'll just make a random color we'll pick up from the rocks. I'm gonna select W and just kind of fill in something random for that part. And then for our background, pick up something randomly from the floor. And I'm just gonna make a layer underneath it and pick up something. For a sky. Darker. And I'm just changing this with the, actually I might make my object a little bit lighter. I'm just changing it with Control U is what I'm using. We kind of learned about that today, where I'm just selecting only the part that I want to change, and I'm using Control U to adjust it. And again, like the color that you pick right away, it's like, you might not be feeling it, right? Feel free to like adjust it within those color ranges. So it's like, oh, I'm just gonna make this maybe a little lighter. Maybe I'll change a little more purple or something. But that's kind of like the environment that I'm going to kind of start with here. And then on top of this background, I'm just kind of gonna mimic the soft lighting that's here. So when I look at the picture, right, the light is going to have more of these brighter yellows, and oranges. And I'm just gonna choose a soft brush. I'm gonna add in some of that coloring. And then as we get farther away from the light, right, source, we're gonna be more into these like darker gray blues, right? So I'm just kind of adding those colors into our background, right? We're giving some environmental lighting, very simply. Then we are going to add in, so that's our environment. Next, we're gonna add in our main light. Sorry, this is 2, environment. So next, we make a layer on top of that. And we do 3, main, or direct light. Add the main light, direct light. Direct lighting. How did you select the bottom half of the square? Just the lasso? You can use W, or I just drew a straight line, roughly, on the bottom, and then I just left the bottom as the same color. What I did to make it so that I only selected the top half was I made a layer underneath, and I drew in a background color, and then I only selected that background color and I painted on only that piece. To do it quickly, if you want to select kind of in the entirety, what you can do, so like I just want to select only what's on the background canvas. If you have it split into layers here, you can hit Control on your keyboard and click on the thumbnail. It has to be this little thumbnail. So if you hit Control and click, whoops, that is a empty layer. Hit a Control and a click, it will select everything that is on that canvas. And so then you will only draw where that canvas is. So that's kind of a quick way to select. Sorry, again, I fall into like my auto shortcutting, you know, when I'm drawing. So it's good to ask. Thank you, Blaze. But yeah, that's all I did there. You can Control and click. So same thing, if I want to select this image, because I have this slim image on its own layer, if I did Control click, this is where that reference image is. If I did Control click, it would select around everything that is on that canvas. So if I were to draw on this canvas, now a little blob here, right? And now I Control click, it's also gonna pick up the little blob. So it controls and highlights everything. It's nodding along, absorbing all the info. Could be a little overwhelming sometimes, I know. So yes, that is kind of how I do a quick selection. And all I did was did that, and then I merged everything down into one piece later. All right, so our direct lighting. So again, I want just the ball here, so I'm actually going to use W as my selection, which is just the magic wand tool, and I'm going to click the middle of the ball because we only want the lighting to affect on the ball, right? And then I'm going to pick up a soft brush with my S key, and we're going to choose that really bright lighting. And we're gonna start adding in our layers of light here. Right? So there is our direct lighting. So next, I'm gonna make a layer again on top of that, and I'm gonna call this ambient or indirect lighting. So for the ambient or indirect lighting, I'm going to pick up again another soft brush, and we are going to use the same lighting, but because it's a little bit more scattered, right, for the reflected light, I'm gonna choose a little bit more of this orangey light, right, where it's getting a little bit less strong from the main light. And I'm just going to cast that very lightly on the bottom of the sphere. You can also add a little bit to your floor as well, right? So this light is also going to bounce off of the sphere a little bit and then just lightly touch on the floor too. Then we have our environmental lighting. So again, environmentally is kind of like this smoky, gray, orange kind of feeling. Something neutral in the middle, bouncing off. Whoops, forgot to select only the ball. Now it's a little harder. You can't one-click it anymore because the shades are different. Choose that soft brush again. And we're just gonna add a little bit more of that environmental lighting to this side. Very subtle. Very, very subtle. Then our last step here is gonna be adding our cast shadow and form shadow. So I'm gonna make this a multiplier layer. Multiplier layer is very common. So if you click on this little drop down here, right? You can have normal. This is just a normal layer. All your layers come in as just normal. Then you can change the layer settings to multiply. Multiply is a setting that often artists will use for adding shadows to things. And it'll just take your color, make it a little bit darker, and kind of overlays it onto your piece. So I'm gonna pick up a... Oh, actually... Yeah, so light you can't actually see it. It's very, very subtle. Very, very subtle. My art tablet too will be different probably than your monitor viewing tablet as well, because they have different color spectrums too. I noticed like any color that's not done on my artist tablet, and I know other artists will struggle with this too, is it never has the same number of like colors, so it'll like look more washed out and less vivid than what it will look like on your artist tablet, which is very sad. It always looks way better on the tablet than it does anywhere else. The great artist struggle. But yeah, so we can make a multiply layer, pick up a kind of shadow color, maybe kind of like this darker area you can see in the water. There's some shadows being cast. And then again, have the whole sphere collected, and we're gonna add the form shadow first. And then you'll notice that I covered over the whole thing and I lost my ambient shadows, and that's because my multiply layer right now, my cast shadows are over top of my ambient light. So I'm just gonna move that layer down underneath, and boom, you see those lights pop back. Oh, and I think my shadow color that I picked is a little bit too dark, so I might actually just lighten it up. Just a touch. And I'm doing that with Control U. So we learned about that trick today, right? I can go to Control U, and I want it to be a little bit closer to the white spectrum, or lighter. So I just moved that luminosity slider up by like 2 notches. And a lot of this is all learning. The more you do, the more these kind of nuances will come to you. So I'm just gonna add the... Oh wait, cast shadow. We need to draw the cast shadow, LiLi. So I'm just gonna pick up my lasso tool. We're just gonna add a cast shadow here. Again, I have that same color. I'm just taking a soft brush, and I'm going to make the shadow really harsh underneath where that ball is sitting. And then as the light gets further away, we have it a bit softer. I'm gonna switch the color to be a more transparent color, and I'm just gonna soften up that cast shadow, because remember, cast shadows will have more of a soft shadow to them compared to your form shadows might be a little bit harsher, or where the light touches, you're gonna get more of those, or where the light is closest to the object, you're gonna have those darker, crisper shadows, whereas when it fades away, you get more of the soft, airbrushy shadows. We talked about that already. So yeah, we add a little cast shadow. And then just for like a little bit of extra lighting and feel, you can kind of, this is kind of like, again, going back and adding in some of those details. So here we just very roughly threw in a bunch of stuff. Now you can kind of go in and clean up. Isham talked about like adding in those extra details and stuff. So you can kind of select everything, maybe choose, you know, I like how there's more of these orange saturated colors in the sky. So maybe I want to pick up more of that. So I add in maybe a little bit more dynamic colors into the environment. And then maybe make some of my darks a little bit darker. Right? Because there's like a lot of these darks are very, very dark. Shadows. Yeah, you can just kind of go through and enhance the piece even more. Add more of like a hot spot right on top here, more yellow. And then yeah, you just kind of basically refine and touch up and make it even closer to what you're looking for, so. I've been freed from my day job. Welcome in, Oz. I've been freed from 7 ads. Welcome back in. No, I should have skipped it. I need to go back to the VOD right after stream. Don't worry. There's a lot to learn. Again, it's a lot of theory today too. So there is a lot to absorb when it comes to the theory section. And I always recommend too, especially with these theory type things, just sit down, listen, and observe first, and then go in and like follow along or practice too. So it's good to just like sit and absorb everything. But yeah, so there is kind of our example. Our example orb. So now we have 2 done. So yeah, that's just kind of like walking through the process of adding the light. So again, a ball is very, very simple to understand. So it's a good way to start and just focus on, like, you're not trying to find those colors or anything, like you're just color picking from a landscape and then trying to apply those colors in the proper places. That's what we're doing here in this exercise, right? We're keeping it simple because like we don't have to draw any complex forms. We're only looking at a ball shape, and then we don't have to worry about picking the color ourselves. We're just trying to apply the light in the correct places on our object. And again, you can practice this method too, like change where the lighting is from, like do a top down or maybe do a backlit ball with the same colors or something, right? Like you could do 3 different lighting scenarios. You could do like the generic light, the side light, and the back lighting, all with the same color palette, right? And yeah, like all I'm doing is thinking about what in the scene, what is my light color, right? My main light color is going to be in these orangey parts where the sun is the brightest. And then kind of like my medium picking color, or kind of like my neutral color in the middle. And then stuff that is more the shadow color, I pick up from the rocks, right? And then I'm just thinking about where I am putting those kind of 3 colors. So the midpoints, the shadows, and the light, essentially. And yeah, you just pick them up from the piece and then try to apply them to the sphere. So, hello Ernest, welcome in. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for the follow, and welcome to the Foxfires. Go. Hello Pod, welcome in. Happy little beachscape. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of lighting and atmosphere practicing today. I panicked trying to recatch up and missed some steps following along and spiraled down from there. Don't worry, Blaze, don't worry. It will, like for you, because you are brand new to Clip Studio Paint too, it's gonna be a long time before you could like pick up on, you know, what tools and hotkeys and stuff like that immediately come to your brain to use. Like a lot of time in Clip Studio, like there's multiple different ways you can select a piece. Like, oh, I knew I needed to select everything that was on that layer that I had set. And you're kind of like remembering what is on each of your layers too, or you're trying to remember like, oh, how should I organize these layers on the side here to cause the right look that I'm going for and stuff like that too, right? That all just takes lots of time and practice. So it might feel like panicking and stuff because like you just don't have the muscle memory, right? Like that I have for that kind of area. So don't worry about it. What's important is getting the information in your brain from the lesson, right? The hotkeys and stuff will come with practice and using it. But what's really important is the knowledge, getting that into your brain. Soak it up like a sponge. But yeah, also hydration. I need that. But that will be it for today. Yeah, I can be overwhelming for sure, but you'll get there. Perfect. But yeah, so that will be it for today. Again, in the lesson plan that I put in the Discord, there are these examples. So you can try to do this guy, the one we did today. And then there is also this one that you can also do on your own for your homework. So I put 3 in there, one that kind of I already have done, but you can try to follow along first, right? So you can try to mimic what I have done here, because all the steps are inside here, labeled for you guys, so you can kind of turn them on and off and see them and study them, right? And then you saw me kind of work through my example here on this one. So you can then go for doing it yourself. Maybe you followed along with me tonight. But yeah, there's that example. And then one fresh that you get to work on yourself. So I figured that was a good thing for homework practice this week. But yeah, we're all done. So now go watch all the VODs on YouTube. There's a lot of them there. Sorry, so if I'm understanding, the bottom of the square is being the main rocks color, the top part is being all the sky colors, and the sphere is being the water. Kinda, yeah, you could look at it that way, for sure. I think a lot of chat's going to the VOD after stream. It was a big one today, too. Tried. No hugs allowed. Oh, I don't have a hug man. I do have a mofu, if you want to hug my tail. What kind of art learning stream with no hugs allowed? I just don't have it set up. I know somebody asked for the Mofu Mofu command, where I think it's !Mofu, M-O-F-U. And then it hugs my Mofu. There will be a test. There it is. Thank you for the Mofu Mofu plays. But yeah, take it step by step again. I think these kind of little exercises that Isham brought up, doing these spheres, I think they're kind of fun and exciting because you get to just kind of play around, mess around. There's like no mistakes really, you know? Get creative, have fun, pick you the lighting direction, go wild with it. And yeah, even if you finish up the homework example that I have, you can just go find some photography pictures or even illustrations like Red Bean, you were asking about applications of lighting in illustrations. Instead of using a photography photo like these, you can also just find like an illustration that you really like. Maybe there's an artist and they have a very unique color palette that they like to use for their lighting and stuff. So grab one of those and then use that as your example and do a ball with their lighting from that illustration. So it applies that way too. I just use photography because there's lots of beautiful photography examples with colors. No mistakes, Blaze. No mistakes. Deal with it. Also a purse. Nya nya with the glasses. Beautiful. Only happy accidents, exactly. Take a word from Bob Ross. Only happy little accidents, happy little spheres. Get out there and draw and practice, basically. So there's like no right or wrong ways to do your practice. So yeah, get out there and learn. But yeah, that'll kind of be it for today. Again, it was another longer one today, but we got through it. And we will find somebody to raid. We'll go raid Con. Yeah, we'll go raid Con. Why is Kaka drawing a Smurf? They must have something silly they're doing right now. He looks like a Smurf. He got a white hat and blue skin. Isn't that a Smurf? Yes, Chad has homework to do. Get on it. We'll see you next week. Again, next Tuesday, I believe, is going to be taking these last 2 theory classes that we have had and then actually physically applying it to illustrations. So yeah, I kind of showed you a little bit of a touch of the next lesson courses that Isham had. Yeah, that's what next Tuesday is going to be. Otherwise, for this week for streams, again, we have Weeb Wednesdays in the Discord tomorrow. So we're going to be watching anime starting at 6 p.m. Pacific. Goes till about 7:15 usually. Hour and 15 minutes generally to get through our first 3 episodes of Spice and Wolf remake. It's the remake version, so not the older version. We did watch the old version previously. Supposedly, it's kind of like, it follows, I think they said, like the same story, but it follows the light novels more than what I guess they did in the anime previously. So it's kind of like the same story, but maybe there'll be like different little things here and there. But art style looks very beautiful for it. Apparently it also matches the light novel a little bit more than what the old anime did. So yeah, we're gonna be watching that, starting that up tomorrow, first 3 episodes. And then I will be off again on Thursday and Friday, and then we're gonna have more Minecraft plays Saturday night at 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll ask if Aqua wants to join again. assumed and put them in there, but I haven't actually heard from them yet if they want to or not, so I will go ask him. Otherwise, I will be playing solo again. Hopefully we can do some bosses this week. And then on Sunday, we're gonna be back at playing Death's Door again. And yeah, that'll take us kind of through the week. If you want to see more of my work, yeah, there's my socials there. You can check out there. Or the Discord is also a really good way to see and keep up with what we are doing. And then again, Learn Art playlist will bring you to the VODs. So if you missed any previous lessons and you want to check any of those ones out, they're all there for you to see. And again, it's just been a course where like I'm just going through and learning this stuff myself. And if it's helpful for you or teaches you anything on your art journey, then I'm happy that you can learn from me as well. So, yeah, thank you for being here. Blaze also with a nya. Why aren't they showing up for the commands? Oh, probably because the Discord one. Oh no, the Discord showed up for you. Yeah, and the Learn Art one showed up for me. Maybe, are you on mobile? Is it not showing up on mobile? One day I'll sit down and watch the VODs. Maybe, probably. They're always there, so. Mobile doesn't show for some reason. That'll happen. Yeah, mobile can be finicky for sure. If you want my socials though, you can find them probably in my bio. There'll be my website, which is a card link, and it'll have like all my links there to either like Twitter or my 2 YouTube channels, both the VOD channel and my regular channel. You know, my VGen if you want to see some of my art there. Yeah, mobile is finicky on which they decide to show sometimes, I think. But you can find the same links if you just go down to my card in the bio. You can find them all there too, so. But yeah, we're gonna go give Con some love. Should we just do an art raid? Oh, one more Nyan, thank you. Nyan as well. Classes dismissed, you're right. Class dismissed. And then yeah, we're gonna go give Con some love. Only happy little accidents raid, Ishikun. I love it. Our happy little accident of a sphere. We're gonna use that. And if you do not have my emotes, use that one if you have my emotes. If you don't have my emotes, use the Foxfire raid message there. So yeah, if you're not a subby, use the Foxfire raid. If you are a subby, use our happy little accident raid, or make your own happy little accident emote raid. You could do either one. But yeah, that will be it for tonight. Thank you very much again for hanging out with me and keeping me obligated to at least sit down and learn art for minimum 3 to 4 hours a week. Technically longer. I think I minimum, because I have to make these lessons, I minimum have to do like, I've done 8 hours of art today. Because it takes me like usually about 4 hours to do the lesson plans. And then 3 hours of teaching it back to you guys. So at minimum, I have to do 8 hours a week. Forces me. So yes, thank you for being my study buddies today. And I will see you all next week at the same time. Let's go. Ba-doop. I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone it is for you Foxfires. I hope it's a good one. And if you are off to bed, sweet dreams. Otherwise, let's go give Con our happy little accidents. Bye-bye.